Going back to Young Justice, designing all those characters, does that come naturally to you, or did you have to do a ton of
that
research?
one was hard, yeah. And as far as the research, yeah, because you're getting familiar with pockets of the DC universe that, like, you know, I mean, I'm a fan, but we had some deep cuts in there, you know, like Professor Oho, really, like, you know what I mean? So it was cool though. It was cool familiarizing myself with it. It was like the crash course in, like, you know, the who's who of DC. And I mean, if I thought I knew DC before that, I quickly learned, like, no, you don't know anything, you know? So you do want to get all that reference. And as far as, like, creating the volume, that was really hard too, because, man, we did a lot of characters in that show. So yeah, it was very challenging, but so much fun also.
Were there specific, like, references you would use to create the designs of the characters, like New 52 or
Yeah, I mean, for these films, like, they're sort of New 52, but not really, you know what I mean? Like, when we started this continuity that we're working on now, the New 52 had just come out, and I think DC wanted to have that reflected in the animated projects as well, but we don't have a strict mandate, you know, at this point. It's just that we've established so much continuity already with these films. This is like number 7 or something like that. You know, we tend to keep the models that we started with and just build on that as we go forward, as opposed to revising Batman and Superman for the umpteenth time. We just bring in the new characters. So there's New 52 elements, but we look at all the history of the characters. We look at, you know, all the iterations, all the different artists and writers that have tackled them in the past, and we sort of create our own composite that works for the narrative that we're trying to create.
Did you ever come up with a design and you just look back like, I came up with this is horrible?
Oh yeah, all the time. Yeah.
Is there one in particular that still kind of bothers you?
It's not the design. It's the execution of the design most of the time. Like, and that's the thing that I hang my hat on. Is like, turns out I'm a good designer. It's just that as an artist, you evolve as far as your draftsmanship. You know what I mean? But the thing that ends up helping with my work, like, not actually being terrible in terms of what it was meant for, is that the artist, that it translates well to the medium that I work in. So if I might not like a drawing that I did because it's like 6, 7 years old or whatever, then it doesn't matter because it translated well to screen, and nobody really needs to see the model sheet, even if it sucks. It's like, it was a blueprint and it's informational. Now, that being said, I'm sure there's stuff where I was like, what the heck? But it's usually because it's from a design standpoint, it's too hard for the type of budget animation that we do. You know what I mean? So it's not necessarily that they're bad designs, it's just they needed more time in the oven. You know what I mean? So that happens. I can't think of any specific examples, but as a rule, I pretty much hate everything I've ever drawn after it's about 3 weeks old. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's tough. Tough to pick a loser amongst losers.
What are the collaborative highlights of the process for you?
Just the awesome people that I get to work with. You know, got to work with Sam Liu on this project. I mean, James Tucker and we talk about every project before we start. We have tons of conversations about, you know, tone and character and the history of the characters and the themes, the arcing themes, and like what influences we want to bring in. The highlights collaboratively is just like working with awesome people, you know, like every project I'm on, I have this amazing crew that is supporting me and I'm supporting them. So it's just, yeah, like I love every step of it when I'm not like overwhelmed by the deadlines, you know. But when you look back at the project, you're like, man, that was awesome. From having my first preliminary discussion with my producer to reading the first draft of the script, watching it go through revisions, doing the concept drawings that are then handed out to the board artists, interacting with the board artists, trying to find out what they need to make the scenes work, you know what I mean? Adjusting my approach based on feedback from them, and then doing final model and sending it overseas. And then 6 months later, you start getting footage back, and then you're looking at what works, what doesn't work, what adjustments you can make now to fix this thing, and what stuff you gotta save for the next project and just put in your mental Rolodex to fix for the next thing. So yeah, it's just the collaboration throughout is pretty fulfilling,
Do you have any favorite character you want to design, or a character that you find very difficult to design?
You know who's hard, and I'm gonna get them right. And I think I'm hit and miss, and I think I got good takes in there. But I mean, it's funny. But Superman and Wonder Woman are the hardest, in some ways. There's not a whole lot of wiggle room, and I always want to go back and tweak what I've done with them, because just the iconic Justice League characters in general, as I evolve as an artist, I always want to go back and do another pass, because I feel like this time I'll get it right, you know what I mean? But they're so classic, they're so iconic. People have such a absolute favorite version in their heads that it's very difficult to present a new take that won't upset people, or that you're not tripping over people's idealized version of it to get to. But at the same time, it's the pursuit of doing what I would look at eventually and be like, that's my perfect Justice League. At that point, I might drop the mic. I still haven't done it yet. You know what I mean? But I'm working on it. So yeah, the icons are the hardest. Ironically, it's the weird characters that no one cares about that are the easiest and the most fun, because nobody's looking over your shoulder. There isn't a whole peanut gallery of not just other artists that might think that you're off base, but the fan base, again, Professor Oho, no one cares what I do with him, you know what I mean? But I had fun drawing him, so, it's that kind of thing. Right.
What was putting Damien together like?
I'm sorry?
Damien, how was putting him together like?
He's a little snot. No, I'm just kidding. He's cool, man. I mean, I'm a big Dick Grayson fan. I like the classic Robin. He's got the same tragic origin as Batman, but he's not dark and grim. He's got the levity and the fun. But once I got my head around Damien, I was like, I like this jerky, stuck up Robin. And the cool thing was he'd never been on screen before. So that's always fun when you could be like, I got here first, you know what I mean? And you're not necessarily, you're informed by the comics, but you're not necessarily informed by anything that's been done on film. So that was really cool, man. I mean, once I got over this ain't Dick Grayson kind of thing, you know what I mean? But to me, and I love Tim Drake too, but to me, Dick and Damian make the most sense, because it's that's Batman's responsibility with Damian. With Dick, he saw something that reflected his tragedy, and he saw potential, but they're different people. With Damian, it's if he doesn't raise him, that dude's gonna become a problem. You know what I mean? He's gonna be dangerous. So this is something that Bruce has to deal with.
Thank you.
Boom. All right, guys. Thanks so much.